around
Yeah,
this
so-
one. Sorry about that. I withdraw.
Actually,
I withdraw.
The trail goes right by.
The trail goes
right
by.
You got the walk.
Yeah, you
I
did
already.
already. It's close enough.
Yeah, you got the trail.
The trail is right there.
There's nothing specific to what we're seeing in regards to the wastewater treatment plant, that the costs over what we were estimating even just a year ago are to this level. The other thing is the push with all the federal dollars that came into the system, and when I say the system, I mean universally across the United States of America. When they pushed all these dollars into the economy, it really hit water and wastewater the hardest because there was so much money dedicated to them, and the competition for labor and all the things that we listed off, materials and everything else, are all concentrated in this area. We're just shoving this thing just off a cliff. And so it is turned into the Wild West.
Maybe it'll course correct.
The last one also is, and again, we spoke about it before, but just to address some of our capacity issues and loading, there's still more work we can do to try and have our peaks and things like that, our storm infiltration, some of these other things, continue to work to bring these numbers down, so that even in the future, maybe it's not this facility, but it's the next one, if we're doing the proper maintenance and things on our system, the projections that we need to build for the state limits and things like that will come down, and that will benefit us as well. I see Colin shaking his head. So I feel like I've learned stuff over this amazing process.
We had that conversation earlier today. You know, if you're building this facility and at the same time doing improvements to your collection system to correct I&I, well, really you're just increasing the capacity of your wastewater treatment system. So now that 20 years, even though we might have to replace some mechanical equipment, the capacity becomes maybe 25. Who knows? But I did want to thank city staff, Greg and Mike and Brandon especially, for putting up with all of our questions. They've put a significant amount of time into helping us work through this and taking times out of their day to sit in meetings, so appreciate that, and as well, a couple council members as well, so. Any other questions I can answer?
Thank you.
Thank you for the time.
Next update. Yeah.
It's all about money, man. More money. Yeah.
Stop it.
Push it one more time.
Again, thank you for the presentation, we appreciate all the information, thank you. Next we have, item 8 is update on the wellness center, Greg?
Yeah, I'll just kind of hit the highlights first. One, we did, and I know I announced it to the council, but we did make an offer and hire an executive director that will take over full-time in June, but is on board already doing some hourly work, and that's Joel Brazy. He's coming to us. Obviously, those that are Seward natives probably know Joel from his time at the high school, serving as an assistant activities director, and then he went on to Lincoln Lutheran as their activities director, AD, as they're known. And so Joel will be coming back to the city of Seward. He currently is, and has for a very long time, lived here now with his family. So we're super excited. We had a great group of finalists for that one. It was very competitive, took a long time. I want to give kudos to my interview team, which is Shane Bach, Tasha Laughlin, and Senator Mark Coulterman, that sat in and did all the interviews for the executive director, and came out with a unanimous result. But great finalists. We saw some great people, and so very happy about that. So Joel will be on full time June 26th, I believe, but we're already sending in design files and having some discussions about the budget and getting ready to gear up for budget season and looking at some of the other things that we have involved in that. The other one is we were given the first cost estimate. I think Councilmember Streisand was involved in that with me. Just kind of seeing the same sticker shock that we saw with this one. We will have a presentation for you at an upcoming meeting, hopefully here in May. But just through our work and redesign, kind of that value engineering as we talked about with Samson, and I know we have Samson on here. We literally saw it come down $4 million at the meeting. While we're discussing it and just yelling things at the screen we're all staring at and saying, what if we do this? What if we move this here? One of the biggest ones that's really driven the cost down, is that lightning?
Yeah, it's raining.
Oh, nice. Please rain,
Yeah,
please.
more, it's more windy.
One of the things that really drove the cost down was moving everything to the first floor. It was just the structural steel and some of the other things. We basically took everything that was on the second floor and just pushed the building out and reduced the height because we didn't need it anymore to accommodate getting girders around tracks and other things that were suspended. And so by doing that, we basically took everything square footage wise and just moved it all to the first floor. That being said, it actually makes the gym feel more accommodating because now the wall's not right next to you anymore. There's a whole track. So when you're having weekend basketball and nobody's in there walking the track anyways, you have that more free-flowing space. It doesn't feel like you're gonna slam into a wall or the seating or anything else like that. And so that's probably the gist of that conversation, correct, Matt? And it's still coming down. We just got another budget update today that we're gonna start looking
Yeah,
through.
my comment I would like to make to the rest of the council, Greg, is I think you guys are great negotiators. You guys are tough. I would hate to be on the other side. They're fighting for your every dollar. So
I get a lot of, I'll give kudos to Shane. I get a lot of
yeah, he's
frantic calls from Shane every time something comes in.
I
And,
mean, what if we did this?
well, he sees it, and then me and Shane have stared at a lot of these, and so we've gone through every nook and cranny of every facility we've ever built, or looked at, or visited, and so we just have, and he's done this for a very long time and been involved in this, and so trying to work that evaluative process and look at the function and the way this stuff works, and then partner that with Samson's knowledge of the actual costs. We've been able to drive it down because we really want to get this into a palatable, right where we thought we were with the 3 legs, and so that's where we're trying to drive costs. And we think we'll get very close to that, and then be off and running in the timeline we gave. So that's kind of the process. I think in May, approximately, we do have the Samson final contract here tonight to get them off, and they're already doing it, but this kind of finalizes terms and gets things going based on what they responded to the RFP about, but we just took time to get this all put together. So other than that, I don't anticipate we'll put together a budget for you this year, but really it's going to be predominantly a construction budget working in tandem with changing the game, and then continuing to activate, kind of gearing up now as the numbers coming in and it's getting closer to the final number, activating that fundraising arm that's now led by Mark Holterman. He's kind of taken that as the lead with Jana moving on to the legislature. And so finish that gap. We can go back then and go to the grants and the different foundations and the other dollars that are left and sure up the final numbers. It is an all-in number. The other thing is the number we're creating and working from is the all-in architectural design, equipment, cabinets, you name it. Everything we think needs to be in the building is in that number. It's not gonna be perfect. We know nothing is perfect, but we're not just talking construction. And then we come back and go, oh, sorry, we forgot the $4 million it takes to design it and fill it. Like, we're being very aggressive that we want to see, and we were working from the final all-in number.
But we forgot to buy the weights. The treadmills, whatever.
and another comment I'd make is Dave Cum has been very helpful
Yep.
with all his experience at Concordia University. And Dave, man, he leaves no stone unturned. So Shane Bach, Dave Cum combo, man, I tell you what, that's good jab, 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 right hook. You know.
They push our thinking, and we try to kind of go in amongst ourselves to do that. But
There we'll leave no stone unturned. I'm for sure.
Any other questions
There you go.
or comments for Greg?
that's the general, and obviously we have an item next.
Yeah.
So
Unless, if not, then we go on to 8A, which is the consideration of an agreement with Sampson Construction for construction manager at-risk services.
so
Add
essentially.
anything on that?
Yeah, essentially this is just what we agreed to. The construction management at risk element of it is a flat $50,000 estimated fee that they will bill against, and then they will give us that guaranteed price that has their adder in it, the GMP, And so we're working to try and make sure that that GMP number is a number that we can work with in regards to this, and then if any costs run over that GMP, that is on the responsibility of Sampson to still deliver us the product that we put out.
So you need a motion to approve?
Yes.
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Dealer's choice. Please register your votes. Rich, do you wanna, please display the votes?
Voting in favor, Wilkin, Kaler, Tanya, Goldman, Miller, Singleton, Strice, and Worgan, 8-0.
Alright, thank you. Next, we have the city administrator's report.
Yeah, we filled up a lot of our time with doing evaluations, and kudos to Derek for all his work on revamping the evaluative process for all employees, and we're working with the employees to kind of finish that off. We had a great meeting today on goals and targets and things like that, and being very driving towards really reaching for things, but being very evaluative rather than you coming in and going, all right, you checked 6 boxes, good, thanks for being here, move on. This process is now going to be very much more interactive, where we ask the department heads to really sit down and learn about what drives your employees and have that conversation, rather than, all right, you were here, you did the technical stuff, see you later. Like, it's going to be a lot more, but still have those objective elements. And we look at things like work on succession planning, continuing education, trainings, special projects that move the goals of the city as a whole forward. So rather than, did you make 10 park checks when you were driving around, on PD duty at night. We're really trying to improve the quality of the employee and work through that. So, but a lot of that work was done, and big heavy lifting by Derek. We'll have the finalization of some of the handbook changes that will reevaluate and redo the discipline process and some of those other fine things. I've got so many things on here that I can't even, this has been like the super busiest time ever. Again, obviously we're here for our discussion with the electric department, but we are in the process of trying to recruit a new finance director. And so we don't anticipate any internal candidates at this point, and so we will be looking out, and so we need to be aggressive about that. If you know somebody that has experience, we're probably guessing it's most likely in accounting, auditing, payroll, and then receivables, accounts receivables and billables, and not so much the utility billing side. We feel like utility billing is gonna be the hardest one to find, unless they come from an odd municipal background or utility background. But if they have familiarity in those other 4 somehow, those are the people we want, and we'll get you up to speed on utility billing and work with you on that one. Let's see, we got to get started on the one, we were monitoring the county's 1 and 6 road plan. Kudos to Daryl and his work. We do have Bluff Road east of town and 252nd, I believe, within the 6-year county plan now to be paved. It's way at the end, but it's in there, and I want to thank Commissioner Zabraki and others that supported that amendment to add that to it. That continues to further prepare the discussion for an east portal to the city for the long term. It will ultimately be, anything off of that will ultimately be the responsibility of the city to ensure connections and other things that relate to that. But we'll continue to work on that, but I want to thank him on that one. A lot of time with Colin and others on the wastewater treatment plant, continuing to get Brandon up to speed. And so we're going right into budget. We distributed a budget forms to all the department heads. With Nick leaving, we're kind of gonna have this a little bit accelerated on my end so that I can guide them through it and then hand it off, hopefully with somebody this summer to finish it up with me. But that's gonna be a lot of heavy lifting on my part to kind of get us through that this year. So hopefully we have a potential candidate for our one last police position that's been open for over a year now. So we think we interviewed one, right, Mayor? That's all that's out there at the moment. That's really
Just takes one though.
It does just take one, and we're pretty excited. Hopefully we'll finish that off, and we'll have that filled in for the first time in over a year. But I can answer any questions you have, but that's kind of what's going on.
Any questions for Greg or comments? Otherwise, entertain a motion to accept the report.
Move to approve, accept the report.
Second.
Motion and second, any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wilken, Kaler, Tanya, Colterman, Miller, Singleton, Streisand, Morgan, 8-0.
All right, do you have any future requests for council agenda items or administrative action? Seeing none. Do you have upcoming events? Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Donna Hendrickson, 1768 North Second Street. I am here on behalf of Jonathan Jank at SECDP. Thanks again for the City of Seward support and our many dedicated volunteers for this past Saturday's successful annual cleanup day, which was hosted at the City of Seward's Horseshoe facility on South Columbia. We had counted this year, we had 186 cars go through in a 4-hour period. We'll have other numbers of electronics, hazardous waste, and scrap metal collected at a later date. Friday, April 21st is the Concordia Catalyst Competition Business Plan Pitch Night, starting with a reception in the Dunn Club Center on campus at 6 p.m. Please RSVP to our office if you plan to join the reception. Thursday, April 27th is the annual Business Anniversaries Luncheon, where we celebrate businesses and organizations at 5-year increments from 5-year anniversaries up to 150 years. We'll be at the Seward Civic Center starting at 11:30. Please consider joining us to support Seward County's business community at this important annual celebration. You can RSVP to our office if you plan to attend. I will answer the phone. May 1st through 5th is the Seward County Gives Week with a launch event on Wednesday, May 3rd at the courthouse lawn, and the final event on Friday, May 5th. There are 40 charitable organizations participating in this year's Gives Week. There are multiple Seward-based projects being supported, and we ask for your participation and promotion to support these various worthy groups and causes. Lastly, the SCCDP quarterly board meeting is scheduled for Monday, May 15th at 4 p.m. It will be held at the Southeast Community College on their Milford campus. That's all. Thank you, Mayor.
That's a lot, that's not all, that's a lot. Thank you very much. Next we have a strategy session.
So I move that the city council go into closed session with the mayor, city administrator, city attorney, and city clerk for the protection of the public interest to discuss real estate interests and provide the city attorney with negotiating guidance for a period not to exceed 30 minutes.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Please register your votes. Matt, did you want to
Oh,
vote?
sorry.
Love
I'm
it,
here,
Zach.
I'm here.
Stop, Rick.
Motion over present, present.
This end of the table.
Please display the
He doesn't
vote.
want to go into exec, he's
Voting
like, I'm
in
done.
favor, Wilken, Kaler, Tanya, Colterman, Miller, Singleton, Streisand, Morgan, 8-0.
No, I got a flat tire.
All right, the council voted to go into closed session for the protection of the public interest and to discuss real estate interests and to provide the city attorney with negotiating guidance. We are in closed session.